Knock, knock. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? No, for real. One second. So it is the beginning of July. It's the first weekend of July, and I finally have time to sit down and talk about my books from June. Y'all, I'm so excited. So excited. And guess what? Your girl has no makeup on. And if you go back about a year and a half ago, y'all will see how much progress my skin has made. I'm so happy. You know, we got a few pimples, you know, they come every now and then, but it's such a huge difference from what it used to be. But anyway, my goal, I say this every video, I feel like. My goal is to not make this video too lengthy. So, before June began, I started a challenge for myself to be able to read 4 books for the month of June. Y'all, I've never read 4 books in 1 month. Never. I think the most I've read has been 2 books in 1 month. But even though I am a reader, even though I enjoy reading, I admire the people that I see on YouTube that read like 4 plus 10 books in a month. I think, like, I admire y'all, okay? But anyway, so I told myself at the end of May, because I think one of the months earlier this year, it took me 2 months to read, and I said it in I think I said it in my last video, or I said it in one of my community posts, but it took me 2 months to finish what was it, Children of the Blood and Bone. And so I felt like I needed to catch up, because I usually do at least 1 book a month each year. So I told myself I wanted to catch up, and I wanted to challenge myself. So, and I got inspired by one of the maybe like 2 of the booktubers that I watch to do like a June challenge. So I did that. But I'm very proud to say that I completed it. It was 4 books. But before we get started, I'm gonna try to check out this Fetch bag, this Fetch tote that I got from Barnes and Nobles. What was it, Barnes and Books A Million? One of them. But I thought it was so cute because I've been needing like an actual, I have totes and stuff for when we go to the library, but I wanted one that was like designated for books only. So I thought this was so cute because it says, if there is a book you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it, by Toni Morrison. Her name is at the bottom. So I was like, shout out to my girl, Toni. We gotta support, right? So anyway, these were the books that I read for June. Y'all, I'm so proud of myself. Was it easy? No, but we'll get into that. Dang, what was the first one? Okay, so I found book number 1. And I also found my fake blue light glasses. Okay. So, I read 2 of these. I bought 2 of them. I checked out from the library. But the first one I read was What You Leave Behind by Wanda M. Morris. The second one I read was Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele. I cannot wait to get into this one, to tell y'all my thoughts on this one. The third one I read was Ugly Ways by Tina McElroy Ansa. I'm looking forward to talking about that one too. And then the last one was one of my favorite artists of all time, Mr. Walter Mosley. And this one was called Grey Dawn, and it was a part of his Easy Rawlins mystery series. So let's get started, y'all. I'm gonna give y'all my thoughts. First off, well, I already said that. What made me do this challenge? Let me tell y'all how I was able to do this challenge, okay? Because, like I said, I admire people that can read, like, so many books in 1 month. But sometimes I feel like, if y'all don't know, I'm a mom of 2. I'm a wife. I work full-time. You know, in that life, even just one of those roles that I just named can be such a busy life, you know, and then you add all those roles together and it's such a busy life. So So yeah, I've never even attempted to do more than 2 books in 1 month, but I really wanted to challenge myself, and I did it. And like I said, it was not easy, but it was doable, and I did it, and I'm so proud of myself. So what I did was, one of my strategies was, for each, because I wrote out in my handy dandy planner, and I think it's downstairs, but I wrote out in my planner. I kind of planned it to do a book each week. And so what I would do is, I think I would start on Sunday. No, I would start on Mondays and then end on Sundays. And so I would look at how many pages was in each book, and then I would divide them by 7, and that would be my goal of pages to read each day. Every single day I did not hit that mark. Some days I would have to, like on the weekends, I had more time to read, because my reading during the week usually is when I first wake up, because I've said it so many times, but I have this read first rule that I follow. So that was helpful for me to start off, and I would usually get some reading done then. And then I was reading some on my lunch breaks, and then I was also reading I think like during dinner or something like that. Like a lot of times during dinner we'll like watch a movie together while we're eating, but I would be sitting at the table but also have my book opened. So I was able to do that. And then on the weekends I was really able to catch up on the pages that I didn't read during the week. So that was really helpful. And then so surprisingly I was able to get through each book every week by doing it that way. I think that was it for my strategy. So yeah, we're gonna start off with Miss Thing, What You Leave Behind by Wanda M. Morris. I had never heard of this author, but y'all know I'm really big on reading Black authors first. Yeah, so I saw her at I saw the book at a bookstore, at a local bookstore, and so I read the back and I was like, not bad. I love a good thriller, but okay, I'll jump into that after this. But so I love a good thriller, and so when I read the back, I was like, okay, this seems cool. Because originally my plan was to start off with Out There Screaming, but they didn't have it in stock at the store at the time. So I started off with this one, and surprisingly, I learned something from this book, and that's what she said. With her books, she's not only writing for entertainment, but to also teach people, especially Black people, the Black community. And so I really learned a lot. I learned something about, I think it's called the heirs property law. I had never heard of that law before. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, so I like how her intention with writing this book, how it was met via me as a reader, and I'm sure through other readers as well. So let me see. Don't want to get into it. I'll say the setting was in Georgia. It was about land, and it was a good thriller. I'll rate it an 8 out of 10. I'll say 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for the knowledge, but she did really good. I honestly don't have any complaints. I could give it a 10, but yeah, it kept my interest. It was really good for the beginning of the challenge, to start off my challenge with. So anyway, next was Out There Screaming by it's an anthology of new Black horror, and it was edited by Jordan Peele. We all know the Jordan Peele, right? So I wanted this book because I have been wanting, like I said, my favorite genre is thrillers, and I've always wanted, not always, but I wanted to get into like horror books, like reading horror books, which is crazy because I'm not even a horror movie watcher anymore. I used to like horror movies, but now it's a little bit too much for me. But I was like, maybe, I can try reading them, right? So I started off with this book, first chapter, the first story. I was like, that's creepy. Very, very creepy. And it was called Reckless. Reckless Eyeballing by N.K. Jemisin. Very creepy and a story that made me feel very uncomfortable as I was reading it. But I do feel like it was a good introduction. I see why he put it as the first story in the book. But after reading the first story, I was like, I don't know if I want to read this book. Honestly, I really didn't want to finish reading the whole book. And then I found out that Barnes and Noble they give you like a free trial week of audiobooks. And I'm not an audiobook girl, I'll be honest. I honestly, even though I did this, I really, and this is very, very subjective, so no offense to my audiobook people out there, but I don't really count listening to books as as me. I'm going to say me. I don't really count listening to a book as you reading a book. I don't think they're the same thing. But I did do that for this challenge, for this book, for some of the book. So after I read the first book, the first story in here, I was like, well, it's kind of creepy, but I really want to see this book through. So what if I do the audio book, the audio version, and let it like let me hear it as I'm like doing chores and stuff like that. So I started off, I read the first story, and then for a few stories throughout the whole book, I did the audio version. So I would kind of go back and forth between the two, listening to it and reading it. Actually, that was helpful for me, surprisingly. It helped me finish the whole book because I really thought about like giving the book up, like not finishing it. I will say not all the stories were scary, not all of the stories were unsettling. Some of them was kind of like and then I was like, maybe I'm just not the audience for this type of for this genre for real, because if this is what horror is, and I'm pretty sure this isn't completely what horror is, but I don't know, I just was like, it answered my question. Can I get into the horror genres? I can't. So this is my first and last horror book. So I'm trying to think of the ones that stood out to me. Was it An American Fable? Hide and Seek? I don't know. It was a few in here that I was like, okay, that was pretty good. But yeah. I wanted to get into horror books, but this showed me that it's not my thing for real. But I'm glad that I finished it. Really glad, because I really thought about, doing away with that book. Okay, so number 3. And I'm trying not to tell too much about these books. I try not to tell about the books when I'm doing these type of videos. I kind of more so want the videos to be like me getting my thoughts off into a camera. That's it. So number 3, I got Her from the library. It was between this one and there was a book written by Amerie. Amerie the singer. I did not know she was an author. I knew she hosted like a book club because I saw it a while ago, but I did not know she was an author. So I saw her book in the section that I was looking at books in, and I had them. I was like, any, mini, money, mo. And I asked my youngest son, who's not even 2 yet, like, which one should I get? So we settled on this one. And a big reason why I settled on this one was because of the cover art. A lot of people know already, I am a sucker for being able to time travel per se. And this book did it for me with the cover art initially. So I want to say this book was written in the 90s, which is so cool to me because I am a 90s baby. And I was just watching a video by, I think it's Lex Reeves. I watch her on YouTube. She's a booktuber. And I saw a video where she was talking about like black authors of like the 90s, I want to say, that was like forgotten or something like that. Something like that, where she was talking, she was kind of like shouting them out basically. And so it was really cool that I ran across this book, and I was like, this is a 90s book. Like, it was written in, well, it was published in 1995, I want to say. Copyrighted in 1993. So this is Ugly Ways by Tina McElroy Ansa. I felt like, and I wrote in my notes somewhere, I felt like this story was like it was like me overhearing or eavesdropping, ear hustling. That's a term I ain't heard in a while. But it was like I was ear hustling on three sisters, three black sisters, three adult black sisters in the 90s. I just feel like I was like eavesdropping over like their sisterly conversations and like their lives and stuff like that. It wasn't like a huge plot. It was nothing that made you be like, or, you know, nothing that was like, it's almost like there wasn't a plot. You know, it was kind of like three sisters. I think they're pretty close. Their mother ends up dying. Their mother wasn't a good mother, especially emotionally. And so they're getting together and they're grieving her death, I think, before her funeral. And so the book just is like you listening in on their conversations that they're having as they're meeting up and planning the funeral and getting through the funeral and stuff. But I did like this book, even though I feel like it didn't have like a pop out plot. I really did like it because, once again, I'm a sucker for feeling like I can time travel. So it took me back to, I feel like I was like, with the writer, I felt like I was in the living room on Living Single, like the furniture, you know. I just felt like I was there. And the cover art did it justice as well. That is gorgeous. I actually would like a copy of this cover art so I can put it on my wall, because that's really good. So yeah, so it was kind of funny too. It had some pretty funny moments. And then my last book, like I said, I'm not really telling about the books. I'm kind of just getting my thoughts off. My last book, I told y'all, Walter Mosley is one of my favorite authors. And this is one of his newer books. My oldest son made this for me years ago, and I vowed to never lose it. But anyway, so this is one of Mr. Mosley's most recent books. I'm trying to see, when was it published. I think it was 2025. And it didn't disappoint. It was definitely an Easy Rawlins. It flowed with the series of Easy Rawlins. It was pretty good. I don't think I ever have anything bad to say about Walter Mosley. I'm a little biased because I really do like his writing. Well, there was a couple of books that I did not care for, but they were not a part of the Easy Rawlins series. But really enjoyed this book. This book was about, I think, 319 pages, I think. Yep, 319 pages. So, I like the cover art on that too. You know, Mr. Mosley, he's real good for taking you back to the 70s in LA or in California. So, which one was my favorite of the four? Let's see. Definitely not this one. No shade, but kind of creepy a little bit. And some of them just was not scary. You know, I really had to pull myself to finish that book. I like this book. It was kind of like a cozy read, you know. It was new for me too. I like this one too. It had a really good plot. Really informative as well. Really good plot, really good writing. It's between Miss Thing and Miss Thing. They're gonna have to duke it out. Then Mr. Mosley. These are my top three. I'm gonna say, I'm really trying to think this out in real time. Which one was my favorite? Oh no, because I like these for different reasons. The most entertaining of the two was this one, I would say. It had a pop out plot. It had a very noticeable plot. I wonder if this is showing up backwards. Yeah. But this was real cozy. Okay. Okay, so I guess I'll go and say a little bit about what this book is about. So, a really brief synopsis. This is about I think she's late 30s, early 40s. She lost her mother. Her dad has remarried. It was real, it was something with him remarrying. He remarried. She was pretty close to her dad and her mother. She's an only child. She was a successful lawyer. She is coming out of a divorce, a nasty divorce. She goes back home to small town Georgia, and she finds out that let's see, she kind of gets, she's grieving her mother. She finds herself on some land, just trying to get some fresh air. And as she's on this land, she gets knocked out by a shovel. And after that, it goes and goes and goes into mystery and suspense and thriller and, all these things. But like I said, very informative when it comes to the heirs property law. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let's see. I already told y'all what what that book was about. And then Walter Mosley, I'll just say this one was, if you've read the Easy Rawlins series that he writes, he has a character called Easy Rawlins who is a detective in the 70s in LA, California. And so each book, when it is an Easy Rawlins mystery, it is Mr. Rawlins, the detective, having to solve a new case. But it's not, it is straight like black 70s. That's all I can say. Black 70s. Like his what you see as you're reading it is definitely black 70s. Black 70s. That's what I'll say. He's really good at writing and taking you back in time as well. So, y'all, I told myself I didn't want to talk too long. That kind of was pretty long. But I also did not want to just end the video without me telling a little bit about some of these books, so that in case somebody is curious and interested in reading one of the four, these. Okay, well, I think that's it. I want to thank y'all for watching. For those that are watching, and we are going to keep reading. Visit your local library. I know I say that every time. I will say that to the death of me. Visit your local library. Take those kids to the local library. Okay, let's get some reading in. What else? Like I said, it's the first weekend in July. I have not started a book for July yet. My main reason is because I have not gone to the library and I have not gone to a bookstore. But I do have a few books on my list, and maybe we'll go Sunday. But I do have Lord, I hope it wasn't there the whole time. I do have another Walter Mosley book, one of his new books I saw a few people talking about. I think it's called Galen, I want to say. I also have, I wish I can tell y'all what it is. But anyway, I'll put it in the comments. That's about it. Will I be doing this challenge again? Maybe. Will I be doing it for July? Maybe not, because I feel like it's already the first weekend of July and I have not gotten a book yet. So I will be short myself. Maybe I can do 3 books for July. Maybe I can do 2. I don't know. But I really am proud of myself for completing this challenge. I'm proud of myself for doing it. I want to do something like this again. Like I said, maybe I'll do multiple books for July, maybe 2, maybe. But yeah, what y'all been reading? Anyway, thank y'all for watching.